and stuff because people will probably wander in. SI&I, ooh, I don't know what page that's on, 68?
68 is what I have here.
Well, that's what I put in, but that was just it's 70. Thank you, 70. We should have candy, and we should like throw people candy if they find the page numbers.
That would exponentially boost the drama of Minyan. That's good.
Esai-nai, el-harim, me'ayin yavo esri. Esai-nai, el-harim, me'ayin yavo esri. Esri, me'im Adonai, say Shamayim v'aretz, Esri me'im Adonai, say Shamayim v'aretz. Esai-nai, el-harim, me'ayin yavo esri. Esai-nai, el-harim, me'ayin yavo esri. Esri, me'im Adonai, say Shamayim v'aretz. Esri, me'im Adonai, say Shamayim v'aretz. And let's swing right into the blessings for waking up. Those are on 68. Modeh ani, modah ani, modet ani, if you want a sort of a gender-neutral choice, and ruach instead of melech, if you prefer a less royalistic approach to the prayer. But whatever you choose. Oh, I think, do we have a slide, Jamie? These are English lyrics that I sort of reworked so they fit better with this sort of camp melody for Modani. Modani lefanecha, ruachai v'kayam, shehezarta nishmati b'hemla, roba emunatecha. I am grateful to be standing before the Spirit of all things. You return my soul to me with compassion, compassion. Great is your loyalty, Rabbah. Rabba emunatecha.
Boker tov, Shabbat shalom. It is wonderful to wake up with you all this beautiful Shabbat morning. Welcome to our Minyan service, particularly if you are new or newer to our Saturday morning services, particularly in the summer. This is the Come as you are, feel the peace of Shabbat, embrace you service. And you'll also notice this is the all hands in service, which means there are many ways to participate. Most profoundly, Diana Bremen is our song leader, our vocalist today. Thank you for that, Diana.
Thank you.
But she also helps chorale many of you to play parts in our service, everything from chanting Torah to having an aliyah, holding and carrying Torah for all of us, or participating in part of the liturgy. There is no way to get it wrong and many ways to participate and enrich our community. It fills my cup as a rabbi. I absolutely love just having the plurality of voices and presences here. So thank you for that. And if I am a newer face to any of you, I'm Rabbi Laura Rumpf. I'm joined by Diana Brement on the Bima. And we also have Jamie Shore in the back, who is making sure that we are not only amplified in the sanctuary, so we don't have to shout, we're keeping the peace of this Sukkot Shalom, our peaceful Shabbat, but also that those at home are able to participate and connect to the minyan that we have here.
Should we wave at them?
Oh, yes, and we will make a little more of a deliberate connection by waving at the red dots and imagining all the many worlds behind that camera of folks who are tuning in this morning. We have offered gratitude to a source beyond ourselves, to the mountains at Sinai, acknowledging the wonder and splendor of the natural world, which is not a great reach for us in the particular season that we're in the land that we are blessed to be on. And now we are going to continue on the note of gratitude, blessing the wonder of just being a community together and saying, Ma Tovu, how good it is, how sweet it is to be together. We are on page 74.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, ishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, ishkenotecha Israel. Vani verov hastecha avo veitecha eshtachave elhecha kodeshecha Jumping to the third verse. Vani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim verov hastecha eneni bemet yeshecha.
We continue with the reading on page 77 that blesses our bodies and also acknowledges how intertwined they are with the natural world. Don't let me fall as a stone falls upon the hard ground, and don't let my hands become dry as the twigs of a tree when the wind beats down the last leaves. And when the storm raises dust from the earth with anger and howling, don't let me fall. I have asked for so much, but as a blade of your grass in a distant wild field, let's drop a seed in the lap of the earth and dies away. Sow in me your living breath as you sow a seed in the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot. Continue singing and acknowledging that one of the many ways that we praise our breath is by allowing our voices to sing with Elohai Neshama on page 78.
This is the Debbie Friedman version. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama. Shenata tabi tehorahi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama. Shenata tabi tehorahi. Ata verata, ata yitzarta, ata nefakta bi. Ve'ata neshamra b'kirbi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama. Shenata tabi tehorahi.
As we prepare for Nasim B'chol Yom, I want to share just a nugget of Torah that's from this week's Parsha, Parsha Ekev, which you'll be hearing more and more about as our service unfolds. But just a little zoom in on Deuteronomy 10, verse 12, surrounding the obligation to offer gratitude. It comes from a question that Moses poses in Deuteronomy. And now, O Israel, what does your God demand of you? Ma is the word for what? And the question in Torah is answered this way: only this, to revere your God, to walk in only divine paths, to love and serve your God with all your heart and soul, which is one answer. But in the Talmud, the rabbis like to play. They like to expand and expound upon words. So they take that word ma, what does your God demand of you? And they hear mea, 100. So mea is 100 in Hebrew. And one of their responses to get really tangible about what God demands of you is to say 100 blessings a day. So that's where we get that link to, if you've ever heard, or Shelley likes to teach us, 100 blessings a day is what we're, in the back of our minds going for. This is what helps get us there. And David is going to lead us in Nasim B'chol Yom, starting on page 80. Thank you.
We'll conclude this section with a prayer or a blessing of our own, so keep that in mind. And there may be a few paragraphs I will mumble through, and surprisingly, they're the sections for awakening and reawakening. I just discovered that last night. Page 80. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasekvi v'na le'avchim ben yom u'ben laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kifufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechim mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Malbish arumihim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten layav koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir shena me'enai utnama me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sesane b'tzilem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sesani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sesani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Oter Yisrael b'tifaraha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kiddushanu mitzvotav, v'tzivanu le'asok b'divrei Torah. Now for your personal prayer, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, for having the ability to hike beneath Tahoma.
Yeshar koach. Thank you, David. Thank you for leading us and calling us to attention to all those particular ways of waking up. We are now transitioning to Tzuke de Zimra, which is a whole chapter of our service that really allows us to melodically flow into gratitude and preparation for prayer together. And the alphabet is making a big appearance in our house. Personally, my son is in kindergarten or going into kindergarten and is really soaking in the English alphabet at the moment. But I'm appreciating that Hebrew also has its way of embedding teaching tools into the liturgy and into other parts of everyday life that help us to really appreciate the Aleph bet in a different way. And the prayer that we are going to reincorporate into our service today is Ashrei. And Ashrei, the premise is, happy are those. So everything that we're chanting today is with the foundation that this is part of living a joyful life. And the fun kind of piece underneath that is that it's written in an acrostic. So you'll notice that each line starts with Aleph, Bet, Gimel. Those of you in Argon, those of you who are learning Hebrew right now, might recognize that almost every letter is accounted for at the start of these blessings. And the one that is not is the Nun. So I should have saved that as a guess at the end, but I spoiled it anyways. However, some people say Somech Noflim counts, that's where we get the Nun. And Ken, I believe you're going to... Oh. All right, come lead the discussion, and then you can start Ashrei. Oh, sorry. Okay, Kara. You can do it together if you prefer. All right, this is a good time to practice antiphonal. That's another call-in response, otherwise known as antiphonal prayer. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
I really encourage anyone who doesn't know this prayer to flip to the English on the next page, and I think you'll just see it's sort of got a lot of concepts that are familiar from Adon Olam, from Birkat Hamazon, from different things. All right, so I'm leading.
Yeah.
Ashrei yoshvei vetecha od yechalalucha sela.
Ashrei ha'am shekachalo, Ashrei ha'am she'Adonai Eloha.
Tehillah David, Ramocha Elohaicha Melech, Va'avarcha Shimcha Leolam Va'ed.
B'cha yomer v'rcheka, v'ala shimcha le'olam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai la'umachol, u'mahalal me'od, u'ligdolato en heker.
Dor l'dor shabach ma'asecha, u'vuratecha yagidu.
Hadar kavod hodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asita.
V'zuz noratecha yomeru, u'dulatecha asaprena.
Zecher Rav Tova Yabiu, V'tzidchata Yiranenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim udal chesed.
Tov Adonai l'chol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav.
Yoduch Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha.
Kavod malchutecha yomeru, u'gvuratecha yidaberu.
L'hodia livnei Adam gvuratav, u'kvod hadar malchuto.
Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים.
עיני כל אליך ישברו, ואתה נותן לכם את אכלם בעתו.
פותח את ידך ומשביע לכל חי רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לך, קרוב לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון יראיו יעשה, ואת שביתם ישמע וישמיע.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל רשעים ישמיע.
תהילה אדוני ידבר פי, יברך כל בשר, שם קדשו לעולם ועד.
ואנחנו נברך יה,
מעתה ועד עולם. Hallelujah. Apparently I know the responses
I didn't give her a chance to practice before, so I just kind of spun it on her. I thought she did great.
That was phenomenal, Yasher Koch, and I think we can appreciate why we don't include that as a mandatory prayer for our B'nai Mitzvah to tackle. But what a phenomenal blueprint for really practicing your Aleph Bet, among other things. Thank you both.
And
That
it's
was
good
great.
Hebrew
It's good Hebrew
reading practice.
Yes. Well, we're going to all keep practicing that one. But for now, we are moving to Chatzi Kaddish on page 106.
This is the prayer that marks the transition. We've, as I like to say, some of you have heard me say this, hopefully I know we're awake physically, at least it looks that way, and it doesn't matter if you want to take a nap, I don't care. And I know Rabbi Laura doesn't care, but hopefully we are now awake spiritually. So we say this transitional prayer, and then next we declare, also another call and response, we declare that we are ready to pray for real.
This has all been warm up.
Yeah, this has all been warm up. Yikada v'yikada shemei rabbah ve'alma divrach yurtei, page 106. Yevayam lich machutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uchayeda kol beit Yisrael v'agala v'izman karib v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam l'amei hamaya, yitbarak v'yishtabak, v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithalei, v'yithalal, shemei dekudsha brichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'yimaru amen. And we rise in body or spirit, page 108, as we, as I said, declare our readiness to pray. Yeah, la, 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 la.
continue on page 111 with the poetic interpretation of Yotzer Or. You are praised who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light, and from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old, a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence, how much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea. You are praised, who forms from the clay that cloaks our lives the delicate vessels which contain our light. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot.
And we turn now to page 112 for Ahava Rabbah. When Rabbi and I were going through this yesterday, apparently not all Reformed congregations do this prayer, but I love it. First of all, I love the tune, and I love the fact that it starts with love and ends with love, and then we go into the Shema. And we're going to go directly into the Shema, and hopefully if my brain works, we'll do the Debbie Friedman melody, which we've started doing on Friday nights also. So yes, the bracketing of love. There isn't a huge amount of love in the Torah, but there's a ton in the prayer book, and I love that. Please feel free to join with me. Ahava Rabbah Tanu Adonai Eloheinu Chem Lagedolah Vitera Chamaltalenu Bavur Avotenu Vehimotenu Shabbat Chuvecha Avotenu Veimotenu Vat Lamdem Chukei Chaim Ken Techonenu Mladenu Hamerachem, Hamerachem, Rachem Aleinu, V'ten b'libeinu lehavin, lehavin haskil, lishmor lilmod ulelamed, lishmor v'lasod. Ukayem et kol divrei Talmud Torah techa be'ahava v'ha'erinenu v'torah techa v'dahabek libeinu v'mitzotecha v'yached levaveinu le'ahava u'yira et shemecha v'lo nevosh v'lo nikalem v'lo nikashal le'olam va'ed ki v'shem kodshecha Hagadol v'hanora batachnu Nagila v'nismecha Nagila v'nismecha b'shuatecha V'havienu l'shalom Me'arba kanfot haaretz V'tolichenu kamemiyut le'artzenu Ki el-poel Yeshua ata uvanu v'acharta v'keraftanu l'shimcha hagadol Sela, Sela, Behemet, Lehodot Lecha, Uyachet Lecha Uyachecha Be'ahava Baruch atah Adonai Habocher B'Amo Yisrael Be'ahava. Page 114. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Vad.
It's beautiful. Please be seated. I think Hava would call that the harmony that comes from the heart. She is always encouraging our team to harmonize without trying, and I think that's what just happened there. That was beautiful. Speaking of anchoring in love, ve'ahavta, like ahava rabbah, contains that potent word ahava, and we encourage our students to learn this one deeply as they're preparing to become bar mitzvah, and in fact, for one of us, this was their bar mitzvah parsha just last week. Mazel tov, Elliot. And today we have an upcoming bat mitzvah who's going to help us. Abby, we invite you to the bima, and I promise you're not going to do it alone. And you're welcome. If anyone else who's a bar mitzvah student would like to come up in addition, you don't even have to be on the microphone. We just love your company up here.
We're all going to join in anyway.
Exactly.
Can I say a couple of words about the trope?
Please, yes.
So
Thanks,
if you're an Beth Am old-timer like moi, you may have learned a slightly different trope for this. So we are, as you've probably heard from the BIMA frequently, we are trying to get all our students using the Reform Standard trope, which I can never remember the name of. I don't know if you all know, there's 100 tropes.
Ask Hava.
Yeah, and every cantor came from some shtetl or city or neighborhood in Eastern Europe, or we wouldn't even count Sephardic because they have their own specific tropes. And they came to the U.S. and they went all over the country to work in different synagogues, and whatever trope they knew they taught there. So, and if you're chanting Torah, if you're a volunteer Torah chanter, which we encourage everyone if who wants to do that, you can use whatever trope you want because nobody's singing along. But I would encourage you, if you're an old timer, to listen to what Abby's going to chant so you can chant with her and not a different trope altogether, which is sometimes confusing.
There's no way to get it wrong, just to be clear.
Right,
all
and
right?
yes,
Yeah.
there's no way to get it wrong. I'm just encouraging.
That's right.
Sorry, I didn't
No,
mean to
Hava
make
would
people
deeply appreciate
wrong.
this.
Nobody's wrong. We're just trying to encourage everyone to get the current usage correct if possible.
No,
You'll
Hava-
try. Yes, try your best.
All right.
And we'll all join in once Abby gives us a couple of starting notes.
Come on up with me. 1, 2, 3. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'elech asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha Veshinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha b'derech, u'shofbecha uvkumecha, u'kshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvihisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Mitzrayim, liot lachem leElohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. Yasher koach, beautiful.
Yasher koach.
Gold stars, everyone. That was beautiful. That was really beautiful. All right, we continue with Micha Mocha on page 122. Do you want to say anything about the tune for this one?
Pardon?
Do you want to say anything about the tune for this one?
No.
Okay, great. We're just going to
It's,
sing it.
Dan Nichols and Mason Cooper. I don't know if you all know, but most of the tunes we sing in the Reformed liturgy do have composers. Some of them we've done for so long, they have become traditional. But really there is no tradition because like I just said, everybody sang it the way they sang it in their little communities. But right, there's lots of tradition. Right, there's a plethora of tradition. So,
Yeah, that's just showing your background.
okay, page 122, and then we'll conclude, we'll say the blessing. We're just going to do one verse, and then we'll jump to the bottom and say the blessing together in Hebrew. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adoni, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adoni, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilo, osef elef. Nora tehilo, osef elef. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Shir chadasha shivchu v'yolim, leshimcha asfat hayam. Yachad kulam hodu, va'imlechu va'amru. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Chorus. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adon, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adon, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilo, osef elef. Nora tehilo, osef elef. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. And together at the bottom of the page, Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Blessed are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we turn to the Amidah, our central tefillah. Diana will be leading us in starting on page 124.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gila Livnei V'Nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. 128. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Samech noflim verofeh cholim. Umatir asurim. Umekayem emunato lishene afar. Michamo chabal gevurot. Umido melach. Melech memit umechaye. Umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman ata l'hahayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei maram kakatuv al yad v'nivecha v'karaz ve'amar Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech haaretz, Kevodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Madir Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai. Mimkomo Echadu Eloheinu Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Moshienu Vehu Yashmienu Berachamav Lenei Kol Chai Ani Adonai Elohechem Yimloch Adonai Leolam Elohai Zion Ledor Vador Hallelujah Ledor Vador Nagid God Lecha Ul Netzach Netzakim Kedushatcha Nakdish V'shivchacha Eloheinu Mipinu Lo Yamush Le'olam Va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue now in our silent prayer. We conclude our communal prayer and continue now in our silent prayer, praying the words of the page, the words of our heart, or just listening to the silence of our soul. And when you've reached 142, if you're standing, you may be seated. page 142. Adonai Tsuri, Adonai Tsuri v'goali, Adonai Tsuri, Adonai Tsuri v'goali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you. Oh, my rock, and my Redeemer.
Thank you, Diana. I find that the accessibility of shalom, of peace and wholeness on Shabbat is so much more possible when I'm in this space and when I'm surrounded by all of your beautiful voices, and that song particularly anchors me to that feeling of shalom. Thank you. We are transitioning now to Seder Kriyat Torah, our reading of Torah. And I like to call it an international, it's a book club that transcends space and time, in that we have been repeating a cycle of reading the same profound and complicated and meaningful scroll for generations and generations and generations. We are entering the year 5787, if you all are keeping track. So it's been a long-standing book club. And I also want to add that it's one with choreography, particularly when we come to a Saturday morning service. Of course, you can study Torah without, the whole procession that we were about to do, but the choreography really speaks to what it is that we're trying to emphasize here. One, that everyone is included who wants to be included, whether you are rising, whether you're listening, whether you're participating in Aliyah or chanting. Everyone is invited to draw close because there is something in the message of each week for each of us to parse out and reflect on in our own lives. And it's exciting, it's profound, it wakes us up. And that is why I will invite you now to rise in body or in spirit. I'm going to invite up Jeff Keys to help open our Ark door and bring Torah into our midst, and to follow along with the songs that will herald our Torah service together. You can follow along with Diana starting on page 244.
Ein kamacha v'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kamasecha, malchutcha malchut kol amim, umemsheltcha b'chol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein. Adonai yivarech et Next page. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Udavar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. And once again, we join our voices in the watchword of our people on 248. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti umumema Shemo Yachdav. 249. Lo yisadon moel goechere, lo yimedu od milchama. Lo yisagoel 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 goechere, lo yimedu od milchama. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishtachavu b'har kosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'nishtachavu b'har kosho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Oh, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu.
Please be seated, unless you are Esther, who is our Bal Kriya this morning, who will be chanting Torah for us to orient us to where we are in Torah. We are in Parsha Ekev in the book of Deuteronomy. And in Parsha Ekev, Moses is in a reflective place and a place of anticipatory transition, understanding that the Israelites collectively, who he has been primarily responsible for, will now share collective responsibility without him. And of the many, many ways in which he prepares them, he asks them to heed the covenant that with kindness God swore to you. And the Hebrew word for heed, Akev, is also connected to heal. If you know, Yaakov is connected to the word heal as well. And so there's a midrash, again, so much wordplay in our tradition. But the midrash says that because of this connection between to heed and heal, what Moses is really saying there is that there is no value that is so irrelevant that it would just be down, trodden under our feet. That we have to pay attention to each and every little mitzvah. There is not a single one that we should just say, oh, that has no value to us. They are each valuable. We can't take any of them lightly. That is just a little preview. You're going to hear much more about this parsha, but first we are going to have our Torah reading. And we thought to do a group aliyah today, which I realize we're springing on you a little bit last minute, but this is a moment to summon some courage and also a little bit of introspection. If you are someone who, thinking about transition has been through or is anticipating a big transition, either this summer or in the coming school year perhaps, and would like to draw closer to Torah for a little strength, You don't have to share what it is that particularly you're experiencing, but if you'd like the opportunity to draw closer to Torah and that strength of the collective and acknowledging that transition is in our DNA and is part of what we do as a people, thank you. Thank you for coming up and for being part of our Aliyah.
And we invite you to come up for the honor of the Aliyah, in case that wasn't obvious.
Yes, that's anyone. Anyone is welcome to.
Do you want me to do the page numbers and verses, or are you going to do
Oh, yes. So Diana's going to call page numbers, and Shelley is our Gabbai today, so making
Okay.
sure that we're
So
all on the same page.
Esther will be chanting Deuteronomy 9, 1 through 3?
9, 1 to 3,
Yeah, chapter 9, 1 through 3. In the seat pocket in front of you, if you have the old Plout, the classic Plout, you will be on page 1388 if you like to follow along. If you have the new embossed Plout, then you will be on page 1231. I personally prefer this one because the verse numbers are in regular numbers, not in Hebrew numbers, so you can actually see where you are. So once again, Deuteronomy 9, 1 through 3, Old Plout 1388, New Plout 1231. If you want to follow along, you're always welcome to just listen. 1388, is that not correct? Deuteronomy 9, 1 through 3. Maybe I missed.
Okay.
Sometimes the numbers stick from last week, so sorry. 1389 in the old Plout? Sorry.
Okay.
How about the new Plout? Anybody got a new Plout to check my pages? 1231, thank you. Thank you, sorry. I throw virtual candy at.
Next time, real candy, Diana. Don't tell anyone.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Shema Yisrael, Ata over Hayom et Hayarden, Lavo Lareshet Gaim, Gedolim U'atzumim Mimecha, Arim Gedolot U'tzurot Bashamayim. Am Gadol Veram B'nei Anakim Asher Ata Yadata Ve'ata Shamata Mi'yatzev Lifnei B'nei Anak. Sorry, that's wrong. V'yadata Hayom Ki Adonai Elohecha Hu ha'over lefanecha eshochla Hu yashmidem vehu yachniem lefanecha vehorashtam vehavdetam maher kasher diber Adonai lach.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu, baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Yashar Koach, should we have somebody read the translation?
I have the English here. Can you read it, Esther? Okay, thank you.
Hear, O Israel, you are about to cross the Jordan to go in and dispossess nations greater and more populous than you, great nations with walls sky high, a people great and tall, the Anakites of whom you have knowledge, for you have heard it said, who can stand up to the children of Anak? Know then this day that none other than the eternal your God is crossing at your head, a devouring fire. It is God who will wipe them out, subduing them before you, that you may quickly dispossess and destroy them as the Eternal promised you.
That was beautiful. And to those of you who are here for the Aliyah, may you feel the strength and accompaniment of all that you need to be on this transition, and may you also be blessed with what unfolds that you cannot yet see, and know that you will have good company in the unfolding as well. Yasher koach. As we have been so beautifully blessed with a Torah reading that fills our cups and inspires us, we take a moment with our cups full to acknowledge those who are struggling of mind and body and spirit, those in our lives who we'd like to extend the Mishaberach, our prayer for healing to. It could include ourselves. It includes those whose names we know and those whom we know are struggling that we may not know personally. We invite now anyone who'd like to share out loud the name or names of those you're thinking of that you'd like to link with our healing prayer, the Mishaberach.
Dan Charlton, Stacy, Simons, Larry Katz.
Thank you. Holding all of those names, we turn to the Mishaberach on page 253.
I'm going to do a version that's a little different than what's in the prayer book. Hopefully we have a slide if you want to follow along. Mishaberach, Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu Yevarech, V'yirapeh et hacholim. Mishaberach, Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu Yevarech, V'yirapeh et hacholim. Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu Yevarech, V'yirapeh et hacholim. Hu Yevarech, V'yirapeh et hacholim.
We wish refuah shlema to all those we're thinking of. We turn now to raise the Torah for all to see the verses that were just read. It's my honor to invite up Sarah Nichols and Ronnie Shore to be Hagba and Galila. I invite everyone here to rise in body or spirit. We are on page 252.
At the bottom. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Torah siva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah siva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 siva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 siva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 siva lanu Moshe. Anyone is ever interested in learning how to do Hagbah, we can arrange for practice.
You don't have to practice when it's at the very end of one book, where it's a little lopsided right now, but Sarah made that look pretty easy. Yasher koach. We turn now to our Haftarah, the accompanying prophetic wisdom that comes with each Torah portion. Sometimes there's a more obvious link, either to the Torah portion itself or to where we are in our ritual calendar. And we are in a season of consolation. We've been describing this move out of the despair and destruction of Tisha B'Av towards Elul, towards the kind of building up that our souls are meant to do as we prepare for a new year. And our Haftorah reading from the book of Isaiah is meant to be consoling, comforting, uplifting. And Diana and I had a little bit of a wonderment about whether this truly is, the verses that would comfort us at our most quaky. But really what it is speaking to is a bond, a deep bond between one who may feel vulnerable and one who is able to give support. I think that's the undercurrent, the theme here that the prophet Isaiah is encouraging us to feel in these verses. And you can decide for yourselves whether that is what you feel when you hear these verses. We are going to be in the book of Isaiah. Is Isaiah 40, 14 through 25, correct, Diana?
Yes. I'm going to just read through 25. If you keep reading, you might see why I decided to stop there. Hopefully the page numbers are correct this time. New Plout, 1251 to 2. Old Plout, 1599 to 1600. Thank you. Virtual candy.
Yes.
I think our temple policy is opposed to throwing things at people.
Yeah, I'm going to consider bringing it back in a gentle way. We'll practice gentle
Yes,
throwing.
Gentle candy.
Gentle candy.
Please join me. The Haftarah blessings are in the prayer book. It's a little juggling here, 254, and I welcome anyone who would like to join me in the chanting of those. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachor b'nviim tovim v'ratza v'dibrehem v'hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'invi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Zion says, "The Eternal has forsaken me. My sovereign has forgotten me. Can a mother forget her babe or stop loving the child of her womb? Even these could forget, but I could not forget you. Indeed, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your safety is continually in my thoughts. Your builders drive out your destroyers, and those who wrought havoc with you depart from you. Look up and see. They are gathering and coming to you, all of them. As I live, says the Eternal One, you shall put all of them on like ornaments. You shall bind them on yourself like a bride. Your ruins, your abandoned places, your desolated land shall soon be crowded with people, while those who sought to devour you shall be far off. Then children you have mourned shall say yet in your hearing, This place is too crowded for us. Make room for us to dwell in. And you shall think, who bore all these children for me when I was in mourning and childless, exiled and left by the road? And who brought these up? I was all alone. Where did they come from? Thus says the eternal God, I lift my hand to the nations. I raise my ensign to the peoples. They shall cradle your sons in their arms and carry your daughters on their shoulders. Kings shall serve them for you. The queens shall nurse them for you. They shall bow down to you, faces to the ground, and lick the dust off your feet. Then you shall know that I am the Eternal, that none who trust in me are put to shame. Can spoil be taken away from a warrior? Can a victor's captors escape? And yet, says the Eternal One, the warrior's captives shall be taken away, the tyrant's spoil shall be retrieved. For I will contend with those who contend with you, and I will save your children. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sur kol ha'amim tzadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'neman ha'omer ve'oseh hamdaber umkayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanvim ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha l'chavod ultifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbarach shimcha b'chol chai tamid leolam va'ed baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Thank you, Diana. We now rise once more in body or in spirit as we return the Torah to the Ark. We're singing on page 256. To call Carl Levinson as our darshan this morning, who will be expounding on Parsha Ekev for our wisdom and benefit.
Well, I don't have Rabbi Laura's sensitivity to Hebrew words, but Akev is a very interesting word, and it's the title of our portion, and it seems to mean something like in consequence of, or even on the heel of, or because. I've seen it translated because, but also because of the context, I'd like to think it might mean if. And I guess the suggestion is that some things become almost our destiny if we do certain other things that make them almost inevitable. For example, if we keep using fossil fuels and carbon dioxide thickens the atmosphere, if we do that, then as 2 + 3 adds up to 5, the planet will get hotter, we'll have more smoke, we'll have storm and stress, and we'll have climate migration and so on. But maybe we'll rectify the atmosphere, get a bit of carbon out of it, and then the weather will be good for us. If this, then that, but this might not happen. The future is open. History is open. But the word akev can also mean because, and maybe in the very depths of God's mind, there are no ifs at all. Every if has become a because. And from God's timeless point of view, because of the choices God timelessly sees us making, whatever happens has to happen inevitably. And sometimes, when Moses gives his farewell address, which is basically all of Deuteronomy, it does seem that everything has always been settled. The Israelites would have their homecoming, and then they'd fall away. The weather would go bad. All of that, it's settled. But sometimes in Deuteronomy, we feel that even for God, the future consists of forking paths, and if we think clearly, and if we heal the atmosphere, the weather will be good and we'll celebrate our victory. But if we don't, the weather will be bad and our children will hold it against us. Now, the problem about climate change and human choice is so compelling that for 1,000 years we Jews have been posting a certain prophecy of Moses, which comes from today's portion, which is all about the weather. You may have posted it yourself, inscribed on a bit of parchment in a little ornamental box called, as you realize, a mezuzah. The most observant Jews keep the climate change prophecy before their eyes and repeat it in the morning and evening as the second paragraph of the Shema prayer. The first paragraph of the Shema prayer, which all Jews say, and we say at every service, and we said it this morning, was in last week's portion. And Elliot spoke about it. Very, very beautiful. I'll come back to that in a bit. He spoke about it very, very beautifully. But the second paragraph of the Shema prayer, which is in this week's portion, we usually don't say here. Yet quite a few of us, probably most of us, do still post it on our doorposts. And since it's in this week's portion, I hope you won't mind if I say it, especially since I have a history with it. This is Deuteronomy 11:13. And it will be, if you diligently obey my commandments, which I enjoin upon you this day, to love the eternal your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. I will give you rain for your land in its season, the early rain and the late rain, and you will gather in your grain, your wine, and your oil. And I will give grass in your fields for your cattle, and you will eat and be satisfied. Take care lest your heart be lured away, and you turn astray and worship alien gods and bow down to them. For then the wrath of the Eternal will flare up against you, and he will close the heavens so that there will be no rain, and the earth will not yield its produce, and you will swiftly perish from the good land the Eternal gives you. Each year when we arrive at this portion, I remember a story about myself in these lines. When I was a boy, my parents and I went to a conservative synagogue. So we did say the lines I just read at every prayer service. And I really didn't like them. I hated them. I was only 9 or 10, and they already made me angry. I did not think our spiritual condition had any effect on the weather. I thought the clouds filled with water and the rains came down on the good and bad alike. I believed in meteorology, not religion, when it came to forecasting the weather. There might be a realm of spirit somewhere. There might be freedom. There was certainly ethics. But the weather depended on air and water, the sun and the moon, and all the great formations of earth, on material cause and effect. On material cause and effect. There's the heel for you. Nothing more. Now, I don't know why I felt so sure of this. I believed that when I freely decided to raise my hand, my muscles contracted and my hand rose toward the ceiling, and a sense of volition came into my mind. Freedom, my personal free choice, in that case, stirred these natural movements. So I don't know why I thought it impossible that divine freedom could alter the weather, but I did think it was impossible. And the idea that bad weather might be a punishment for our collective spiritual failures was to me positively offensive, because I didn't believe in a punishing God. As a 9-year-old, I was generally against punishment and in favor of forgiveness, especially since my parents were forgiving and very generous, and I was glad of that because I was an annoying little boy. But now we have climate change. We now know that our spiritual condition affects the weather because our spiritual condition affects our use of technology. And our use of technology most definitely affects the weather. At least that's what most scientists tell us, and our own experience seems to confirm it. I worry about the heat and smoke in Europe and on the east coast of our country in the Midwest, and in Cuba, where the heat is bad and the electrical power is scarce. And if we're blessed to be in Seattle, where our northerliness and our waterways and greenery still protect us, even so, we had better be concerned. Climate change, to put it mildly, could make us, the whole world, very, very irritable. And we don't want people armed with nuclear power to get irritable, do we? I am sure we don't. It's really too apocalyptic, isn't it? So let's look again at our text, which observant Jews say twice a day, and which we post, most of us, on our doorposts, even if we don't say it so often. Take care, lest your heart be lured away, and you turn astray and worship alien gods and bow down to them. For then the wrath of the Eternal will flare up against you, and he will close the heavens so that there will be no rain, and the earth will not yield its produce, and you will swiftly perish from the good land the Eternal gives you. Now you know, the great enemy of spiritual life is idolatry. God says and inscribes on the tablets, the very tablets Moses remembers smashing in this morning's portion. He smashes them. But the tablets say, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall have no other gods before me. Or better, you shall have no other gods before my face. Or more colloquially, don't be in my face with your blasted idolatry. And Moses remembers in our portion that at Sinai, there was no image of God. No one saw the form of God. There were words. There was meaning. The meaning was almost palpable. You could see it, almost touch the meaning. But the God in the fire, the God on the burning mountain, you couldn't see at all, and no one ever will. So God says, don't bow down to idols you can see. And Moses prophesies, if you're idolatrous, you'll get climate change, and you won't like it. The rain won't come, the grass won't grow, the earth won't support you. And I actually think that some of the climate change deniers are mostly annoyed at the spectacle of a prophecy that unexpectedly partly becomes true. After 3,000 or 4,000 years, it's an insult to reason, a prophecy coming true. And on the other hand, some of us in our heart want climate change to be as bad as possible, because an ancient prophecy will then have proved itself wonderfully right. And this will establish the meaning of the universe. I think for some people, we want meaning so much that we'd be willing to perish just to prove the universe meaningful, and so to say, as vindictive as some of the prophets taught. So prophecies, in other words, play games with our mind. They really do. They're very ancient. They're not just natural things, and they play strange games with us. So let me point out right away that the climate change prophecy is not perfectly accurate, not in the narrow sense of accurate. The climate change prophecy says that idolatry will bring about weather we don't like, whereas it turns out it's our misuse of technology that's bringing weather we don't like. The skeptical part of my mind is thereby reassured, but the religious side of my mind still points out that 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, there indeed lived a prophet who asked us to post his warning about climate on our doorposts, and we have it there, and the warning indeed was called for. because it does turn out, as Moses foresees, that our spiritual condition will affect the weather. And indeed, our misuse of technology overlaps quite a lot with our idolatry. Of course it does, because when our prophets mock idolatry, they talk about someone who makes a statue with their own hands and then decides that the statue they themselves made is the source of the whole universe. To repeat, idolatry means worshiping as the source of the whole universe the work of our own hands. And that's also what happens when we make too much of our technology, when we don't limit it as we need to, because we revere it too much. Going further, idolatry and misused technology converge in human greed, the craving for wealth, metaphorically, the love of gold. That calf wasn't clay, you know. It was gold, a golden calf. Water is best, says a great Greek poet. Oh, but gold, like a blazing fire, outshines all pride of wealth beside. That's the trouble. Of course, the calf was gold. But we don't live by bread alone, as our portion says, very famous lines. We don't live by bread alone. And we certainly don't live by gold. But the thirst for gold drives both idolatry and the misuse of technology. And you know, our latest high-tech feat, artificial intelligence, can listen to the questions of 1 million anguished hearts in a single moment and answer in that moment 1 million different questions. I thought only God could do that. Indeed, I wasn't even sure that God could. So the convergence of idolatry and the misuse of technology is more and more obvious because we do worship technology a little. And the weather, all that heat and smoke, is confirming, not perfectly, but impressively, the prophetic words we've been posting for so long. Going back to Eliot's wonderful commentary last week, the first line of the Shema prayer, which he talked about last week, contains the solution to the climate problem and the idolatry problem, and really, I think, all our problems. You know the first line. Listen, Israel, the eternal is our God. The eternal is one. That's the solution. God is one. You know, when the people made the golden calf, Moses had gone up the mountain to commune with God, and the people couldn't find God, and they couldn't find Moses. They felt abandoned. They were afraid of dying. They needed to worship something they could see and touch and own, possess, cling to. That's why they needed a golden calf. God is one. God is one. Consoles us for both our solitude and our inevitable death. And that consolation, the consolation that God is one, can end all idolatry. God is one means that God is encompassing and brings us all together. And God is one means as well that God is solitary and the image of our loneliest loneliness. With the image of God in us, we don't ever need to be afraid. all will be well, and again well. Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher koach. We're going to let that sink into our bones and help us to move from this space to one of profound inspiration. Thank you, Carl. We move to open our ark doors for Aleinu. Please rise and embody your spirit as we turn to page 282.
On hakol latet gedula liotzer breshit shehu note shamayim v'yosed aretz umoshav yekaro bashamayim mimal ushchinatu zo begovhei meromim hu Eloheinu einod v'anachnu korim Umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu 287 v'neimar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad.
Please be seated. As a Temple Beth Am community, our hearts are with the family of Brenda Friedenthal Etter, wife of Irvin, mother of Andrea Haley and Eric Haley, grandmother of Karsten and Aaliyah. Brenda passed away this week. We are observing Shloshim, grieving in the first 30 days since the passing of Noah Morel Miller, child of Shoshana and Jeff, nephew of Chava and Brennan, cousin of Judah and grandchild of Rabbi Jim and Julie Morel. We are honoring the yard sites, the anniversaries of the passing of Alethea Becker, Rose Berman Berthoff, Bruno Borenstein, Roger Bicey, Tanya Chirones, Estelle Corey, Robert Fleischman, Frank Fugazzi, Steve Glassman, Shirley Gutterson, Philip Herzog, Alexander Kiselev, Robert Lavacotte, Ernest Lawrence, Gail Lerner Conigan, Esther Lise Greenstein, Richard Merrick, Eduardo Munoz Pero, James Papageorge, Alan Raphael, William Rivkin, Harry Rutstein, Sarah Sirkin Weinstein, Douglas Spencer, Diane Turner, Edith Vigderman, and Paul Wadlinger. We invite you, if you are here grieving the recent loss of a loved one or observing a yard site, to share their name and their relationship to you out loud as my hand moves through the room. And if there are any names I mispronounced also on the Kaddish list, to please share those out loud. If there is anyone here observing Shiva, Shloshim, or Shana, grieving the first week, 30 days, or year since the passing of a loved one, I invite you to rise. It's our custom as a Temple Beth Am community to now all rise in body or in spirit as we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah Be'alma divra chirute ve'amlich malchute b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam olmei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'ela minkol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. For all those we've named, we say Zikronam Livracha. May their memories be for blessing. Please be seated. Before we, it's loud. Before we transition to a joyful Kiddush and Motzi that will send us towards enjoying each other's company over a potluck Kiddush lunch that everyone is invited to, I just want to say some thank yous. Thank you to our shamashim who I see are getting ready to do their job on the way out. Thank you, David and Ronnie. Thank you, Diana, for leading us beautifully in music and in prayer.
Thank you, Rabbi.
It is a joy. It is a joy to be here. Thank you, Esther, for being a phenomenal Bal Kriya, and Carl for your wisdom, and Sarah for being our Hagba today, and for the many, many of you who participated with your full selves. And if you are interested in a role that you didn't have this Minyan, but you would like to, you know who to come see at the Kiddush lunch. But for now, we are going to conclude with Vishamru and Kiddush and Motzi.
Let's see, could I get some of the folks around B Mitzvah age to come up and help us here? You don't have to say anything. Just hold the bread.
We just want you to have the first crack at the challah. That's really what's happening.
juice. Yeah, you get first crack at the challah if you hold it.
Thank you.
Does anybody want to come up and hold the Kiddush cup? I will hold the Kiddush cup. That means I get to drink the juice. Okay, we're on 300, I think. We're going to do Vishamru, and then we're going to go right into the blessings. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam brit olam, v'heni uvein b'nei Yisrael, Oti le'olam, b'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz, uvayom hashvi, Shabbat v'hi nafash, uvayom hashvi, Shabbat v'hi nafash. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.